Hello, my name's Erika, I'm an illustrator, welcome to the video. So today we're going to be doing a redraw from my Witchtober series from October last year. Maybe I should have saved this video for closer to Halloween, but I drew it recently, so I'm gonna post this now. So I really liked this one concept I did of this little witch sitting or standing in the palm of this giant forest creature, so I ran with it in how, in the style that my art has evolved to since then. And frankly, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm definitely gonna post it. I mean, like, as in when I post this video, I'm gonna post it on Instagram because, promotion. But I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna include this in my portfolio, that'll be great. But looking at it, I'm like, I think it's because this picture doesn't necessarily have much of a background, which doesn't mean that it's bad, but it's just, I don't know, it takes me out of it, like the suspension of disbelief, or whatever the phrase. But to explain what's going on here, so the pose looks like that because I ended up trying to be a little bit more accurate with my art, so I used myself as a reference. I could show a little bit of a clip here. So yeah, which I think helps it in some ways but hurts it in another. That I think it's because, I don't know, the pose ended up feeling stiff, maybe, possibly, or that I didn't explore as many different poses because I felt like I needed to stick to my one reference. So, maybe I should have taken more videos of me with more dynamic poses so it doesn't feel so stiff. Possibly. I don't know. This whole drawing, I'm like, there's just something off about it. I think it's something about the original. I like the way the big, like the thick line art, well, even though I still use thick line art here, it ends up looking more thin, which is fine, but just like, I don't know, you're gonna hear that a lot right now, just I don't know. Maybe you'll have an idea of why I just feel so iffy about this one, which is fine because this was mainly for fun. Because, like, I feel like I did such low effort when it came to the girl's hands and her face, which, again, it's fine. It's not everything I create has to be a masterpiece. It could just be for fun. But also, I love the concept and the colors and the composition. I'm proud of that. But you gotta share, you gotta share things that you're unsure about, because it's also my way of showing, like, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing sometimes, and that's fine, because you gotta make a million bad drawings in order to make a million good ones. So yeah, I guess I'll come back in a little bit. I'll be back to ramble. Bye. So this is when the drawing kind of really starts to divert from the original, where I'm like, they look so bored in the original, let me give them some expression. So I gave the little witch sort of an uneasy, like, that smile you do out of a reflex in an awkward situation, except the awkward situation is that she's been picked up by a giant. And she's like being smiled at by this giant, and she kind of gives a smile out of reflex even though she's probably terrified. So, I like the concept, but for whatever reason, And here it just feels, I don't know, maybe I need to work on my expressions more, but maybe it's just the combination of everything just makes me feel very uncertain. But anyways, I'm starting to lay down some of the flat colors, the greens and purples that I really liked, and here I'm starting to do the background similar to the original, but then I started to divert from it, for better, for worse, maybe for worse, I don't know. It just felt like there was so much just empty black space here that I felt like I needed to fill it more. So you'll see in a bit I start playing with some of the layers, settings, and trying to make it more interesting. But anyways, overlaying my usual paper texture, hoping that'll save it. Adding some of the shadows by turning that layer into soft light. I think here the fact that I'm kind of uncertain with my light source, I think makes it worse. But just messing around with that. Yeah, I'm just like waiting until there's more for me to talk about. But one of the little changes I made in the design too is that I gave her more of like a pants shirt combo. I mean, obviously for the pose it's easier to see. What's going on? What are they doing? Sorry, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but some construction's going off in a neighbor's house. We're gonna ignore that and keep going because I don't have a lot of time to make these. So adding more textures, hoping they'll save it, but then I'm like, oh, let's make this more interesting, and I add a little bit of a light coming from the wand or staff that she's holding, and I'm like, oh, we can make that more interesting. So I did that, and I don't know, I think the drawing's better. Well, I guess you could call it digital painting. It's better than I'm giving myself credit for. It's just a lot of mixed feelings about the whole thing. I think just because it has such a different vibe than the original that I'm just conflicted, but we're here at the end. I think it still has some magical whimsy to it, but like I said, a different vibe from the original. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching and listening to my rambles. I hope to see you next week. Goodbye!